This video is part 2 of 2 in a series on the karate technique known as Age-uke. And I'm recording the talking head portion of this video from my own home here on Christmas Eve day. Now in part 1, we learned that Age-uke, that's a Japanese name for the technique, that the English names are either rising block or high block. And both of those names are partially accurate. They're accurate in the sense that the technique is delivered in a rising trajectory, and they're accurate in the sense that it is delivered to a high target area, such as the side of the face or the neck or the chin. However, those names are misleading in the sense that it's not practical to think of this technique as a block in either a self-defense situation or even in a karate free sparring competition. Not with the normal way we practice it with a large range of motion. The only time it's practical to think of that as a block and to use it that way is in a narrow context of a choreographed karate drill, such as one-step sparring or three-step sparring. I had said that in free sparring, the action happens too quickly to use the Age-uke as a block. And that's true, except in maybe a situation like this, where someone's coming and jabbing at me. And I'm, again, just slow. And I'm just using it from my guard up to here, just to deflect and then do that, thank you. But the full range of motion, the way we practice Age-uke, you're not going to use that in a free sparring situation. And also in a self-defense situation, not only does the action take place very quickly, but it happens very close. And again, you're not going to have the time and the space to use this Age-uke as a block. In a karate free sparring competition, and in some of the drills we do in the dojo, your goal is to hit your opponent and or not to get hit yourself. And in a free sparring match, you're trying to hit them more times than they hit you so that you score more points and win the match. However, self-defense or self-protection situation is different. Your goal is to survive and to prevail in combat using overwhelming force. And you're not really thinking about blocking, and it's likely in that situation you will take some hits. So outside of that narrow karate context, this technique is most likely to be used as an upper level strike, a strike to the upper level part, the targets such as the side of the face and the neck and the chin, as I mentioned. I have 2 examples I'm going to show, and then we're also going to look at class footage of our class doing this. 2 examples of using the Age-uke in a self-defense situation. One of them is going to be in a bladed position where you have one shoulder and hip forward and the other one back, this kind of position, and the other one's going to be in a squared up situation. You're going to deliver the technique with the hips squared. So we'll look at the first one in the bladed position. This one comes from Ian Abernathy, who I've taken a seminar from years ago, and I use this material a lot in my classes. So this one is from a grab. Someone grabs you in order to punch you. He's probably right-handed, so he's going to do that. I have to react very quickly so as not to get punched. At the same time, I drop my weight down, pulling him down. I'm going to trap the hand here and come down with this, and then hopefully opening this up and striking there, maybe more than once. If he's coming from the other side, I'm going to step back into it, pulling him even more, strike a couple times, and who knows, maybe get that kind of a takedown. So that's one application of the Age-uke in a self-defense situation. The other example we're going to look at comes from a fellow named Michel Mulder. He's from the Netherlands, and I also use this material. Really like a lot of the stuff he does. Is more self-defense oriented than specifically karate, but it uses karate techniques. So in this case, the attacker is pushing me up against a wall. He's going to do something to me, I don't know. And I'm like this, so I'm going to use the Age-uke. I'm going to turn my hips into it. This is the hips and shoulders squared that I mentioned before, and I'm just going to strike here many times. I could use this bone here, the forearm, or I could use my hammer fist. I'm going to strike up here, and then if I get the situation, can follow with an elbow and whatever else. So that's a situation where you're rotating this way, rotating your hips into the strike. So those are two possible applications of the technique age uke in a self-defense situation. Now obviously you could think of more. For instance, maybe it could be used in roughly that same trajectory to move an opponent's arm out of the way to clear the way for your strikes. In any case, this concludes this episode of today's technique. Thank you for watching and keep your eye out for future episodes. In conclusion, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, even if you're watching this after Christmas. The Savior is born.